So how's your week been? How's your weekends been?
Just tired.
Yeah.
Other than recovering from the sickness,
Oh,
yeah. And sadly, I've lost my. As we started to coin it at work, I've lost my all-night jazz voice.
Okay.
And it's that point in time when you're sick, and your voice kind of sounds off, but you can just hit like the almost Barry White level of bass when you try. And yeah, we coined that one our all night jazz.
Do you
It's like it's time to slow things down, and we're gonna bring you this jazz all night long type deal. So it was.
when you pick, do you use your voice? Like, do you have a voice?
No.
No, you use like okay. 'Cause
Yeah, we have a
use-
wrist
Oh, yeah. Okay.
arm thing.
Because by Thursday, I am. When I wake up in the morning, I am just soulful. But let me put it that way. I am. The missus is like, can you talk louder? I'm like, I cannot talk as loud. Oh baby, I can't even speak correctly. And she's like, yep, okay, you're done. So, but Jay, welcome back.
thank you. It's great to be back.
Thanks for being the first guest of the new year.
28. Oh, that's right. Thank you. I did. Listen, it still feels like the same year for me. It's just a continuation.
It is indeed not. It is indeed not.
I know.
So yeah, man, welcome back. Before we started recording, we set up that we will be on the DTR podcast in February. By we, I mean Des and I. So
And me.
and you and I mean, I don't even remember how many guys. You guys have like a shit ton of co-hosts, so I can't even.
Oh no, it changed. It's just down to J Ram and I.
Oh, okay.
We changed the whole format of the show, and it's
I haven't listened to this week's. I apologize.
it's fine.
It's been a hard week, but I mean, we really have this week. This week at Bungie is really really simple. You can play everything now if you don't own Osiris, and done.
Yeah, essentially. It's...
Right?
These patch notes for this hotfix were like really hard to follow, man.
Yeah, I know.
Like, oh my god.
I wish I had clear communication. Let's just be honest, right?
Come on, Bungie.
Also, Jay, where's my belt? I'm still waiting for my champion, my most, being the most reoccurring guest on DTR. I'm expecting my belt in the mail, and I haven't gotten it. I don't know if you haven't shipped it yet, or it got lost somehow. I don't know.
I think I got lost in the mail. FedEx. It was busy during Christmas.
Yeah, I was hoping I would get it, but in February I'll have it for sure. So man, I heard through the grapevine that you guys joined in the Reddit. Reddit has found you guys, and it was good. It was bad. It was sort of like when we got called out when we were on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you explain what happened?
Yeah. So last week on our episode, we had Jason Schreier, and everyone has mixed opinions on Jason Schreier. If you don't know who he is a news editor at Kotaku and the author of Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. And Jason Schreier is known in the community to leak a lot of Bungie news and Destiny news and things like that. And last week on our podcast, he reported on that Destiny 2 had a reboot back in 2016. Now, to me, that was common knowledge because there was a report on that back in 2016 and it was widely known in the community, but I guess everyone forgot about it because the game was still like a year and a half away. So when he said that last week on the podcast, that kind of like exploded online. Someone on Reddit made a post about it, and everyone just ran with it, and it just exploded. There was YouTube videos on it, articles on it, and just things like that. So that's really just how it went. The bad part about it was that a lot of people were calling the devs lazy and things like that. And of course, no dev in this world is lazy, because making video games is not easy.
No.
And one thing that Mr. Schreier did say on our show is that when you make a poster about a video game, and when you say bad things about a dev, do not forget that they're human. Like, things you say online, they read. So they're humans too. They have feelings too. So if you won't say it to their face, just don't say it online. And I feel like that's a part of our show that a lot of people missed. When, like, it's just like a lot of people just stopped as soon as he said, "Oh, look, D2 was rebooted back in 2016." And that last few minutes of our show, he said that, and not a lot of people. I guess like a lot of people listened to it, but no one really like reported on that. And I feel like that was like a huge missed opportunity to like really, like, look, devs are humans too. Mm-hmm. Like, do not forget that.
Yeah, that's one of the things we say. Like, you got to remember, as much as you want to be vocal about something that you quote unquote care about, you got to remember that these are people.
Exactly.
These people have families, So
exactly. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I've kind of been like an advocate also of, if you can't say it to someone's face, then don't say it.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, when I was a kid, I was like, I was basically an arcade rat. Because, I mean, back in the 90s, you could actually leave your kid in an arcade for like 3 or 4 hours and they're okay.
Yeah.
Because I turned out fine. And
I turned out fine. We all turned. Yeah.
I turned out just fine.
People guess that I would try to choke out a chimp. I don't know if that would count me as I'm fine, but I get what you're saying. I do.
Yeah. But no, and it's hilarious because when I got into like the fighting game community and like that professional scene, like hearing how much drama and like trash talk there can be about other people. When I did, it's like, you didn't do this in arcades.
No.
If you got salty, like overly salty, and started whining about someone who beat you, chances are it was a kid like 3 times your size and could knock you out in like a pit. And no, you didn't trash talk him because chances are he was going to hit you.
Yeah.
You were within reach, so you didn't know. And I think that's one thing. Yeah, I do agree that like that loss of or I guess proximity just dehumanizes everything, I guess, which is tragic.
Well, it's safe. It's safety is what it is. You know what I mean? They know that they're safe. They know that person won't go, "Hey man, you're being shitty." I mean, well, some people will. I mean, I'll tell you.
I mean,
if you're being a shithead, I'll tell you for sure. But
it's safe until you come across a person that won't mind like popping you in the face in public.
That's true.
Because there's definitely people in the community that are, within that realm.
Yeah.
They'll take an assault charge to put you in your place.
Last night in chat on our podcast, we had a guy come in chat, and we literally had to like stop our whole show because he was threatening the lives of people at Bungie, and we just had to stop the whole show and just like, hey, you can't say things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like today it's a lot of. I'm not gonna like target the younger kids, saying it's all a lot of younger kids, but I do feel like it's a lot of like younger people behind online saying these things, and they just forget. Or again, it just could just be the way today is. A lot of people just forget that, oh, it's just a username online. Oh, they're just like, it's just a username or something. Like, people forget that it's like real people behind the computer screen and things like that.
Like when we had our Reddit debacle, I guess would be the best way to put it, when the Knockers coming out soon, Knockers being Oryx's dad as opposed to his son, which was just a misspeaking. Like, he just misspoke is what it was. And I usually don't read comments, but when I saw it was there,
Yeah.
somebody emailed us and was like, "Take it down or rename it or take it down." Was the email title, and I'm like, "Hey, you want to not get any good attention? That's how you
Yeah.
do it, buddy. Way to be way to get my attention." And then I looked at it and it was, some of it was okay, and then some of it was like, these guys can't speak English correctly, and I'm like, oh, okay.
These guys can't hold a conversation. It's like, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate the negative more than the positive, to be honest. 'Cause it makes me, it makes you giggle because you're just like, why would you come into someone's stream? I mean, I know you guys still live stream. We just stopped doing that because 9:30 in the morning is kind of a hard.
It's not quite prime time. But,
that's a nice way to put it. I was going to say not very many people are awake at that time, but yeah, I mean, we did have our follow. We did have the people who were.
Of course, I used to tune in chat. Yeah.
Every
now and then we might do it, for like special occasions. We could probably, hop on, get it going. But reading you can't turn off comments because that just gives that perceived weakness. But you can't read comments and take it to heart nowadays. The way I do things now is I'll never leave a negative comment on something unless it's totally terrible, like this whole Logan Paul thing. When I saw that, I was like, I probably would have said you're a shithead, to be honest. But I only put positive comments because it's you support the people you support, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you messaged me and was like, hey, you and I are we're in that whole podcasting circle, and you sent me a message, and you were super excited, and I wanted to be like, and I felt, I congratulated you, and I was like, hell yeah, man, way to go. But I was also like, I didn't want to be the dickhead to go, oh, just wait, it's gonna turn real quick soon. And,
yeah.
And the
the
Cheeto dust was flowing. Yeah, you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Especially being the community manager at Destiny Tracker, which...
Oh, dude, I see it all the time. People blaming us for the way Destiny 2 is like, hey, right? I don't make the game. Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
I still love the general, negativity behind it all. Because, there's still the argument going around. It's like, yeah, but people didn't want snipers and shotguns running around. Then the biggest comeback is, yeah, but we didn't want the primaries to suck. And it's like, why do you feel they suck?
Yeah, I don't think you understand.
I mean,
I'm killed by more primaries than anything else. Not mayhem, but it's mayhem. You have to give that.
I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, auto rifles feel great again. I do wish hand cannons and pulses felt a little better, but auto rifles feel great. Scouts aren't too bad. I mean, it's like,
I think the argument that a lot of people make is well, in D1, a lot of people wanted primaries to be buff. Not everyone wanted 2 primaries. So it was like Bungie saw an issue and went to the extreme as their answer to it. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, an interview with Wisniewski recently, I mean, they pretty much explained why. And it all makes sense, essentially, because, I mean, it's basically how I feel. I mean, but it's like, the decision to go 4v4 the decision to slow down the time to kill, which is what a lot of people have a problem with, and where the quote-unquote, less powerful primaries come from. Because when you look at it objectively, these guns aren't bad. It's just they feel bad when compared to D1's environment. Because these guns would not be able to survive in D1's environment because you'd have something like Last Word that can kill faster than a D2 sidearm. So I mean, it's all perspective, but they wanted to slow things down to give you a chance to know what in the world is actually going on in a match. I actually like that. Because it's a simple change, but at the same time, what's going. Chances are you know why you're dying. I mean, compared to D1, it's like, yeah, I wasn't in this position. I pushed this flank wrong. Whereas D1 with such fast time to kill, I mean, it's like, oh, I just like got unlucky in this, the Titan skating Titan came around and just pushed a shotgun in my face and went across back to the other side of the map. And it's like, it's not happening anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like, that's what I like about it. I mean, that's me. I mean, could the time to kill be a little faster? Probably, but ultimately that's very much in my hands.
Yes, yeah, you can't stop them or cause them to do it. That's how you have to remember, There's nothing we can do about it. It's in their hands. All we are is passengers. I mean, sure, we can be vocal passengers, but we're passengers.
We're backseat drivers.
Listen, that might be the best way to describe the
Yeah.
I know, like,
the negative.
We're backseat drivers.
Yeah.
That's all we are.
Go left.
They control where this game goes. We're just in the car in the back trying to tell them, hey, no, make a left.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can I
like,
hold?
trust me, it's going to be so much faster. It's like you're sitting there telling a taxi driver, it's like, take this right. It's
Yeah.
faster. And he looks at you like, you kidding me? I got you faster right here. But no.
We're just the guys that want to hold the aux cable. Let's just be honest. Hey, man, can you turn the heat down? No, I'm cold. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna be hot then. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Oh god.
Backseat drivers. That's
Yeah,
the
no,
best.
that's like a perfect analogy. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I mean, yeah. But dude, congratulations on being on
Thank you.
the top the top thing on
Yeah.
the top post on Reddit.
Cool.
God have mercy on your soul because
Oh, dude, I know.
it's nothing.
We've actually got a lot of positive feedback on it, so now I'm just like sitting back and waiting for the negativity to just like flow in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. It really is if you think about it. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But one thing I can say that we're doing a lot of investigative reporting now this year here at GTR.
Yeah.
That I'm actually really, really excited for some of the things that we are trying to get scoops on and things like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you have one of our listeners, Average Joe, doing some articles for you.
Yes. Joe is awesome.
Yeah.
Joe is awesome. He does a lot of great articles. He does our community pieces. Oh, both of our community pieces. He does our weekend reset breakdown. And I actually just gave him a new article last night to work on that he's extremely excited for. So look out for that soon. It's about a cutscene that did not make it into the game.
Ooh.
And it's online. It was made. It's a D1 cutscene. It has some lore in it, and I think you guys will like it. I'm
Interesting.
gonna like it.
Ugh.
And it's real. It's a real cutscene and all of that. It just did not make it into the game. It's real. Everything about it's real.
Speaking of awesome visuals, did you see? I don't know, Jay. Are you a wrestling fan? Like a pro wrestling fan?
No, I not sadly. Sorry.
Okay, well, sorry, you're young. It's fine.
Yeah.
It can be a generational thing.
I never really like got into that.
I mean, I had no choice myself. I mean, quite literally, because I was born in North Carolina. So, I mean, I was born in the middle of Flair country. It's like I moved down there, living in Alabama. I've come to learn it's like college football in the South is basically like a religion. That's pretty much what wrestling is in a lot of parts of North Carolina. I mean, it's a little crazy, but yeah, I didn't have that choice. But yeah, it's.
Well, I would love to send you the link of the entrance, but apparently it was taken down for copyright reasons. I don't know who took it down. Probably New Japan.
Yeah, I mean,
but
fair.
Yeah, but they had a wrestling event that took place. I think this past weekend, last weekend, or this Thursday.
I think it was just this past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. I don't know if you recognize that.
Yes.
Okay. They built it as Alpha versus Omega, which was probably one of the best ways to build a wrestling match. But the thing about Kenny Omega, let me preface this, is he's a huge nerd. Like
giant nerd.
He learned Japanese so he could read his favorite manga. Like that's how deep into it he is.
Nice.
He took the name Omega from Omega Weapons from Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
His finishing, he has a move called the V Trigger, which that's a gaming. That's I think
Street Fighter V.
Street Fighter, okay. And his finishing move is called the One Winged Angel, which is Sephiroth from Final Fantasy.
So he's a giant nerd, and he's actually an incredibly avid gamer as well. Because I, for one, watched an exhibition match between him and Xavier Woods in Street Fighter V, and I think it was at I wanted to say it was at CEO 2 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, like, not this year, but last year, I think. Like, don't quote me on that one. But, yeah, and at first, I thought it was just two wrestlers that... I mean, Xavier Woods is a WWE wrestler, and Kenny Omega is not. Because, I mean, he's New Japan, which I'm not sure exactly how the Japanese wrestling works, like, as far as, like, contracts and appearances and crap. But, either way... they actually met in this exhibition match in CEO, playing Street Fighter V, and I just thought it was some publicity stunt, a couple wrestlers getting together and like drawing a crowd. No, those two could play Street Fighter V, man. Those were some really good matches to watch, like legit.
Well, how wrestlers have over the top entrances.
Yes, that I know.
Okay, that's a part of the gig, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chris Jericho came out with a light up jacket, being the Chris Jericho of old, and everybody loved it. Kenny Omega, however, came out dressed in the old school D1 Osiris headpiece, like the dog headpiece, with carrying the
Vigilance Wing.
The Vigilance Wing.
Like a replica.
That is actually cool.
Yeah, just off enough to not have like copyright issues, essentially. Because it's not like a 1-for-1 replica of a Vigilance Wing, but yeah, it's just off enough to maybe not be Vigilance Wing.
But
let's face it, it's Vigilance Wing. Come on.
So I just wanted to bring up how cool that was.
That was quite amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Because I agreed with like a lot of comments on like things about that. Is like, yeah, I knew he was into Street Fighter, but didn't know he was into Destiny at all. But go figure.
So now it makes you think. How many times have you played with Kenny Omega as a blueberry? Because I mean,
considering the Japanese time, probably not often.
Yeah, true. But I know Big Show also is a Destiny player.
I know, right?
So that's
I've been giving him crap since D1.
Yeah. He's been giving Titans crap since D1, so he just it's fine. I just wanted to bring that up, but I'm super bummed I can't find the video to send out because they took it down.
Like I said, it's I mean, it's a medium that makes money purely because I think it was a pay-per-view. So yeah, that's I'm actually surprised it lasted as long as it did, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm surprised I got a hold of it as long as quick as I did to send to you. But to get back into the Destiny talk, has anybody gotten any good Masterworks? Jay, have you gotten a Masterwork?
Yes, I have. I haven't got any good one, but I did get enough for me to break down to make, I don't know what the submachine gun's called. It's the one with the silencer that was introduced. It's like a Hake one. It's kind of like the NTLD.
The Adelaide D?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called, yeah. That's my favorite submachine gun right now. So I made that into a masterwork.
Okay.
Fair.
I upgraded it too. Yeah. Now I'm trying to get more so I can make positive outlook a masterwork.
Yeah,
Fair.
I had that one drop. What, last week? This
Nice.
I think so.
was at the end of last week's episode or the week. I think last week's was my half Dan,
hmm
and then
Oh, sure.
I did get a positive out, but I also get a lot of grenade launchers, and I'm like, why would you give me this? Please stop.
Thanks.
Mhm.
I'm jealous. But
Actually, hilariously, I don't think I've gotten. I have not gotten a play of the game masterwork, because that would be one I would keep.
Oh, play the game.
Oh yeah. Like I said before, like the Crucible power weapons, whoever named them needs a medal.
hmm
And yeah, it's great. I'll probably still never use it, but I'll keep it in my vault and I'll consider it one day. That and Critical Sass.
Yeah, I got that one. Is that the one I have masterworked as well? I think it is. I might be. I do have a fusion rifle that's masterworked. So
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I got Quick Thing as a masterwork, but
Oh, nice.
but I broke it down. Yeah, I needed the masterwork core. I know. I know.
As Des gets super bummed.
I'm sorry.
It's
Sorry.
like the perfect weeaboo weapon.
I know. I just really wanted the masterwork core.
That's fair. That's fair. That's
Did
fine.
you-
That's fine.
Did you have 9 and you needed the 10th one? The 10th one?
No, well, Des, this may even make you even more mad. I got
Oh my
it
God.
twice. I got it twice, and I broke it. I broke both of them down.
That's actually funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I did get some fusion rifle. Of course, I broke that down, and yeah.
No,
I just really wanted to make that submachine gun a masterwork.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's usually weapons, a weapon that you really want. Like
Yeah.
I think I've said on cast, like, oh, I would love to have a half Dan D masterwork, and it was like, oh, and Destiny was like, here you go. D2 was like, here, you're welcome. And then I was like, oh, well, I'd really like to have a half Dan. Oh, here you go. All right, cool. I mean, when the faction rally comes out, I'd really like to have the new Monarchy drop as a
Loquitur.
the Loquitur 7, 5, one of
It
them.
could be. Yeah, it's just Roman numerals is New Monarchy. Screw 'em.
Yeah, we don't realize on the Roman numerals. So, but did you have you had any interesting games in the Mayhem? Have you had any?
Not really. Like just fun matches. I've been playing a lot of Mayhem. It's just normal matches. I haven't ran into the Nova Bomb glitch, or maybe I have and I didn't notice. Maybe I don't think I've ran into anyone using that glitch.
Oh, you notice. I'm gonna let you know. You notice.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
I would
yeah.
notice, and I don't think I ran into anyone with that.
If they're bad at it, I mean, if they're like not like being aware or whatever, it's like it can be like not noticeable.
Mhm.
But yeah, I actually came into a match with someone finally, like after all this time, like someone that actually did a good like entire match of like nothing but Nova Bomb glitch. And dude had like 33 kills and 2 super activations, but he was throwing Nova Bombs like every 2 seconds because
Oh,
he was on our team.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Was that last night when we were running?
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And that was we were on oh crap, what was that one? I can't even remember the name of that map. But yeah, he was just standing at like one half of the map and just like tossing Nova Bombs down this like hallway. It was like, all right. The end of the match came up. It was like 33 kills, 2 supers. Shenanigans.
Was it the altar? It was the altar of flames. He was in the 50-50 lane.
Yeah. But yeah, it was hilarious. Like I said, that's the first time I've actually seen it affect the scoreboard.
Mhm.
Because normally the people that do it, like either they give up. It's like I actually came across like I think it was earlier in the week. I came across like there was 2 warlocks on a team, and they were doing it. But once they realized they were still losing, they stopped.
How? How are they losing with the glitch?
Because it counts. It counts as a grenade kill. It only counts as 1 point, not 4.
Yeah.
It doesn't count as a super.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, if you do it a lot and successfully, then you might still win, but it is entirely beatable because you're actually at a disadvantage, like scoring wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, once it's like, they're just tossing Nova bombs, and I couldn't get a decent streak because I'm dying to freaking Nova bombs. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, they actually don't have a super. Oh wait, they're now like, it became like a close match in the score. It's like, okay, so they finally realized like, this may not be entirely worth it, and that's one thing I do kind of like about this glitch, is the fact that when it was first discovered, that first week, it was like everywhere, because infinite super glitch in PvP, why not? Especially after Bungie's like, yeah, we're not going to ban people for this, and it's like, oh god, and yeah, it was like everywhere for a while, but yeah, as it goes on, it's like I'm not seeing it like super often, and that's kind of cool. It's like it's a glitch and like it's a thing, but it's not an advantage. So people are just kind of, you know what? Let's not do this.
Yeah.
Like my way of dealing with the infinite super glitch, if they are just, the whole team's doing it, it's kind of hard because you're just running into secret Nova bombs. So I'll just leave. And after a while, it's like, well, they're not having any fun because you took the ball, you took their ball home. So they'll stop eventually. And then I realized if you're using a glitch, you're not going to stop. You're just going to keep doing it because you think
just going to keep on.
Yeah, it puts you ahead. But I think Bungie was smart actually for not banning people for doing it, because the second they drop a ban, someone's going to just go online and be like, it's your fault, you made the mistake, you made the glitch, just because I used it doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, you don't read the terms of service, do you? Because using glitches can get you kicked, can get you banned, especially in PvP.
But I will say, it is a glitch on their side, so I don't think they would ban people anyway, because they messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. One reason, DMG did mention, it's like, we can't fix it right now. And no, we're not banning because this is on us. Like, for sure. Like, they can't get to a fix. It's out, it's launched, it's in the open. It's like, you know what? Sorry. It was essentially...
It's like the Prometheus lens. Oh, the Prometheus lens is super buggy. It's really strong. Okay, anybody who has it really, they win in PvP. What do we do? Oh, we'll just give it to everybody. That's how I like this Bungie. I do. I like how Bungie handles shenanigans nowadays. They say, okay, we fucked up, we messed up, our bad, but we're not going to punish you for our mistakes. And if it's a weapon, here you go. And if it's a glitch, well, you still might not win because, like Des said, the reason we won for our team with a guy doing 33 kills with only 2 activations, because we were running around using precision kills and whatever else you could get to increase the score. If it was just a bunch of guys Nova bombing, they might not win.
Yeah. Last night, me and Buster played a lot of Mayhem together, and we didn't lose often.
No. We first shake and bake of 20 of Destiny 2, and I think, that was the first time we did PvP together.
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah, that was the first time because he came around the corner, I came around the corner. He had a hammer, I had a Nova bomb, and that guy had no chance. But it's super fun.
Have you guys tried PUBG yet? If you guys own an Xbox.
I
don't own an Xbox, and I don't. I haven't. It's not that I'm in any way against PUBG. It's just my computer sucks, and I don't have an Xbox. So, yeah. So, I mean,
I've been playing a lot of that recently, also on console. Yeah, it's not that good on console, but still, that's where all my friends are. So I'm having a ton of fun.
All right. It's like a lot of it's like the kind of D2 thing. Like when it first launched, it's like I knew a few people that were like, oh, I'm just going to switch to PC. It's like, all right.
Play where your friends are.
It's like, that's cool and all. Because, I mean, of course, there's a large faction of the community that are, quote unquote, all about them frames. Which, I mean, legitimately, it's a legitimate thing to even go for. Like, because at least from a competitive standard, I mean, especially for fighting games, like, if you don't have 60 frames, I mean,
yeah,
it's considered, like, bad because there's not as many chances for your input to go in, and, like, it feels clunkier.
Yeah.
But, so I don't know, while it can help, at the same time, it actually modifies the general sensitivity, for everything. Because it's 60 frames, I mean, literally, it's considering the frames control everything, like, the more frames you have, which is a weird thing, because, I don't know, because they have to have a way to, like, moderate this, because Destiny 1, and I think Destiny 2, by my estimate here, is like, everything was tied to frame rate in, like, D1. And they could do that because, of course, it was only on console. It was only going to run at 30 frames a second. And everything was, like, tied to frame rate. And it's kind of how it goes. But considering PC can go, I mean, kind of literally at uncapped frame rates, which, that's just, like I said, just, people was like, yeah, I'm playing at like 1,000 frames a second. It's like, so? I mean, that's, of course, I don't know if that's a legitimate number that can get up that high, but, yeah, that's just bragging at that point in time. But either way, I noticed, because it was The Last of Us, when the remastered came out on PS4, of course, I played a lot on PS3, and then I picked up on PS4, and its big deal coming on PS4 was the fact that, oh, you can actually, like, you can play at 60 frames a second. It's like, oh, wow, this feels amazing. But it had an option to where you could lock it at 30 frames a second. And that's where it learns, like, the sensitivity is so different between 30 and 60 frames a second. Because I used to play on, like, PS3 at a relatively high-ish sensitivity, probably. They had a bar, and I can't remember if they had a number attached to it, but it was probably at, like, 70% of this bar, like, high, I would play at sensitivity, but at 60 frames a second, I would actually go down to, like, the 40 and 30 end for, like, the same effect. So, yeah, frames do matter, true, but at the same time, I don't mind not having frames in a shooter.
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
I mean, you can kind of get the similar effect in 30 because you put your sensitivity up and it's pretty much in the same ballpark. But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of it's rough for me to say, but I don't know. I don't know. I do know the PC footage is gorgeous, though. So I mean,
oh yeah, it is beautiful on PC. The game is beautiful
because the one thing I do like is the fact that, the resolution is higher, and there are so many more frames. It's like the particle effects like pop out more, and like the animations are a little more noticeable and such. And I do enjoy watching the 60 or uncapped framed footage. I mean, it's pretty. I'll give it that. I mean, I'll never say... One thing people can never say is Destiny is an ugly game. Because it has never been an ugly game. By any stretch of the imagination.
But Jay, I do play Fortnite, so I do know the Battle Royale type.
Oh, yeah.
So. Yeah. Oh, did you hear Paladins is getting Battle Royale?
Hold on 1 second.
Wait, hang on. Paladins warning. The guest brought it up. It's not us, but
not us.
Now that you did, Jay.
I sure
Thank
did,
you.
Sir.
Thank you, by the way, Jay. But
yeah,
yeah, we were just actually who was it? Was it Lazarich that posted something in one of the Discords or something? I want to say it was Lazarich.
Yeah, Lazarus posted the, hey, this is coming.
Yeah, and it was really, really cool. Like to see that style of game. Because originally I thought it was an entirely different game. Like a different download, essentially, that they were working on. It's not.
Nope.
Oh, it's not.
Nope,
It's not. It is. This is.
Oh.
If you have Paladins, you will have this game mode in time. And
Is Paladin still free?
yes, Paladin is still free at base.
Always free.
What, $20 still for all characters? And
Yeah.
they are working on one new character. They're not in the PTS, but they are working on a new character that is going to be their 35th character.
Oh, wow.
There is some slight controversy with Paladins with the Cards Unbound, one of their new systems, but there's some things here or there. But either way, it's going to be a part of the main game, which, like I said, at first blew my mind, but then I realized something is they actually used to have a game mode that played around with mechanics very similar to Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And it was a King of the Hill game mode that they called Survival. And what it was two teams on these big maps, and you fought for control of a central area.
Yeah.
And pretty much last man standing wins. It was basically what they had on their hand, because they even had a fog that would start moving in as when the timer went down, forcing you more into the center. So essentially what they had on their hands that nobody ever played, and this is the hilarious part, because what they had was the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes of a Battle Royale game mode in Survival.
Yeah.
Is kind of what they had, but it just didn't hit off, and they ended up replacing it. And actually, I think with what they replaced it with still isn't played too much, but it's a little more fun at least. But yeah, so they took these assets like the fog that would come in, and since they have mounts that you can actually they brought, of course, they used that. They have at least one map right now that is over 300 times bigger than any map they've ever done so far.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a hefty. It is a battle royale map essentially.
Yeah.
Fairly properly done, because if you, I can't remember if the video I sent you, Buster, was actually from them, but they actually did. If you search on YouTube for sure, there's an hour-long video of Hi-Rez basically showing off this game mode at the Hi-Rez Expo. Last week?
Yeah.
Or something?
It was an hour and 10 minutes long.
Yeah. So, I mean, and they sat there and, played the game and, explained, what they were doing. And, but yeah, I mean, it's at first, when I heard about it, I was curious. Okay, so yeah, it was actually on the Paladins YouTube page, actually, which is run by Hi-Rez. So there's that. But yeah, at first I was really iffy about it, because I mean it's a class-based shooter.
Yeah.
What are they doing getting into the battle royale scene, right? But so I was wondering how they handled it, and they basically went through what they've done. Like I said in that video, very early, it's everything is pretty much the same on each hero. Each hero, of course, comes with their weapon, and I'm not sure if you actually will be able to play this solo. I think you're going to kind of be forced into squads of 4, which makes sense, because you basically have a choice of there's essentially 8 choices that you're going to be able to make,
and they rotate every week.
Well, I mean, I don't think they rotate week, but I think it's every game you can play a different person, because it's a random. You don't freely choose from every hero in the game, every time you load in. which is kind of unfortunate, but meh. But it's like at least 4 of the choices are like always there, and they're always available for people to play. So if you haven't paid for anybody, at least 4 of those choices are basically probably from a selection of free heroes, like people like Victor and Ying, and people like that will always be available. I mean, and then there's like 4 other choices, one of each class of hero, damage, flank, frontline, blah blah blah. And those will be dependent upon like who else you have like to your accessibility. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing because like they said, they're not changing much of anything. Like, I don't think the card system, like the customization on the card system, is going to be active, which makes a lot of sense because it's completely different like game type. But instead of like weapons, because there are of course like chests in the wild that you pick up, but instead of weapons, you collect equipment pieces, and these equipment pieces give you boosts. Like, and there's different rarities. They have, I think blue is at the bottom, purple. No.
Green, blue, purple.
Green
gold.
at the bottom, blue, purple, which is epic for them, and then legendary, gold. And, like normal chests will have anywhere from blue to purple. They even have the loot drop type system. Because I know in Fortnite it's like parachuted in loot. But they have something similar to that. They will have something similar to that, and those chests are like guaranteed golds. They're going to have a guaranteed gold item, and so far as they're working on right now, like those things that drop in will be marked on your minimap.
Yeah,
it's like you're going to be able to know where it is, and if it's not been opened, like it shoots like this purple beam of light into the air, so you know where it is if it hasn't been opened yet. So I mean, there's a lot of cool mechanics in it, and like I said, these items can give you boosts, like depending upon their rarity. It like might be a 50%, like you might get like a chest piece that's like 50% damage reduction, which gives you. I know for sure, all right, because in the video they saw, or somebody did pick up a gold chest that was 100% like added like damage reduction or something, and it wasn't actually. It basically doubled their health effectively.
Yeah,
which was hilarious. And then they got another piece that actually literally doubled their health. So it's pretty much the same. It seems like the same mentality, because you definitely want to go and get the chest. You want the better rarity of stuff, because that's what's really going to help you in the end. Once everything closes in, that's what's really going to be able to help you like survive, is basically the stats on the equipment you have. And they're working on, very interestingly, it's like they're playing with an option right now that essentially gives you a damage boost the more kills you have. So that way, or at least like the plan for that mentality is, because I mean it is a valid strategy in like Fortnite and stuff, is just get some semi-decent weapons or whatever and like hide in the bush and just
basically
hide there.
yeah.
So I mean, it's a valid. I mean, the whole camping and like waiting out strategy is like very valid, in that setting. But I think that's what they're trying to like circumnavigate and like try to keep things a little more action paced by rewarding you for killing people. It's like you kill a few people and you get like a small percentage damage boost every kill you get. So that way, by the end, if you're like, slaying everybody you meet, you're going to be a tough opponent to deal with if you're consistently doing well. So I mean, I can see that if it's not done right, like that can really be like a not fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like really interesting to see like them going for that.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this game mode plays out because I've actually never played Paladins before.
Which is fair.
Yeah. I have
free,
played Fortnite. Sure. I know. But I've been playing a lot of PUBG a lot on Xbox.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
it's definitely going to be. I will say this, like even out there with everything else, is like it's definitely going to be like a unique experience. Which is one thing I did like about Fortnite when it came out. Because I mean, to be honest, when PUBG came out, it felt a lot like, you know, H1Z1 whenever it had its Battle Royale mode put in. I mean, it just kind of feels and looks very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it probably plays, like, incredibly better and everything, but, like I said, I can't tell that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when the Battle Royale thing started, it's like, PUBG really didn't bring anything new to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they perfected, like, how it is, but, like I said, nothing, like, new to the table. Which is what interested me in Fortnite. Because suddenly it's like, oh, here's people, and we're definitely bringing something different to the table, because now you can build crap and stuff, and a completely different thing. But, and then there's this, and it's like,
Well, like you said, they're making it more fast-paced by rewarding, you know, the player with...
I almost have a feeling, though, like that system may not be implemented. Because I just have this feeling that that's really hard. That's going to be really hard to, like, pinpoint a good percentage, like, per kill or whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
the number.
that's going to be really tough to balance out to make it, like, really fair and still fun and still matter. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen. But, like I said, I do like where their head's at. Like, with trying to keep things... Because, I mean, another thing for Paladins is they're not getting rid of your the quick heal. Like, if you stay out of combat, you'll be able to heal yourself still in the Battlegrounds mode. They're not getting rid of that. So, I mean, it's going to be... It can potentially go on for much longer because of the mechanics they already have set. Thankfully, the one thing that they are doing is you will no longer gain, like, passive ultimate. Like in Paladin's games now, because you gain, like, a 1%, I think, per second, maybe, or per couple seconds, either way. But that's not going to be a thing in the Battlegrounds mode. You actually have to either get kills or do damage in order to gain ultimate charge. I do like their Paladins Battlegrounds down mechanic, though.
Oh, that was one thing when I noticed it. I was going to bring that up. I was just waiting.
Yeah. They instead of, like, being crouched down or, you know, going into a state, they are definitely, like, using assets they can just find. And so when you, quote-unquote, are knocked out or knocked down, you turn into a chicken.
Why? Is that, like, into the lore of the game? Or is that just, like, a fun mechanic?
One of their characters, Pip, his ultimate is to turn people into chickens. And it's a debuff, I guess, effect.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting, like, the actual term for it, but and for a few seconds you actually run around as a chicken, like you're weaker, your movement's different, your jump's different, like everything's different, and then after a few seconds you turn back into you. So essentially what they did is basically whenever your health runs out, like I said, they use an asset they already had and didn't have to tweak too much.
Yeah.
So they turn you into a chicken, which the chickens are slower than most heroes, like just by default. So it's not a lot of things that they really had to tweak to, like, put in there. So, I mean, it's just hilarious to see. Like, you see... Like, in the first half of the high-res video, you see someone, apparently one of their devs, who is apparently really good, say apparently, but ended up being really good with Kinessa. and you're seeing the people at a distance just getting turned into chickens. It's like, that's funny. Oh, but yeah, that's like you are revivable from chicken status.
That's
so I mean,
that's their you're down on your
so
hand.
It's basically just their way to shortcut not having to put in a crap ton of new animations for every single hero out there. Which totally makes sense. And I'm so glad they went with the chickens, because that is hilarious.
It's perfect, yeah.
So no, not really a lore reason, just assets that can be repurposed.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little confusing, though, considering Pip, like, his ultimate is to turn people into chickens. So, I mean, does that mean they just get insta-downed? I mean, it's going to make Pip very
Battle
powerful.
Royale come out? Oh, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no problem. The best I've read are, like, of course, estimates, but I did read that they are attempting to do it before this financial quarter ends.
Okay.
That's as far as I know.
I definitely want to keep my eyes out on that.
Yeah, sure.
You might want to.
So, I mean, this is news I was, like, not expecting at all.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's essentially like, I mean, it's literally pretty much like Overwatch announcing a PUBG-style game mode. It's not something you expect. Because it's like, okay, it's a hero shooter. It has its own defined thing. But now here's a Battle Royale mode. Wait, what? So, excuse me? So yeah, it's very interesting to see. And especially the fact that it's not a new download. It's like, it will exist in Paladin. So, I mean, that's what's really blew my mind, like, the most, is the fact it's not separate. Because they could have easily broken this off. And hilariously, like, from what a lot of people say about game development and game developers just in general, this Hi-Rez could have easily done, like, the what people believe developers do, and, like, cut this off from their main game and create an entirely new download and an entirely new revenue stream.
And they could have charged for it, too.
Exactly. I mean, and they would have been justified in doing it because it's such a different game mode, but it's like...
very popular one that can make them a lot of money.
Exactly.
Potentially.
But instead it's like, you know what? Yeah, we're just going to put it in our game. It's like,
Give it to them.
Because, I mean, like Overwatch, I mean, Paladins has a lot of, like, character costumes and skins and customization options there, too. So it's like, why not just double your revenue? I mean, this would literally double your revenue. But, hey, no, here's, like, a Battle Royale and a hero shooter game.
Yeah,
like,
a
at that
lot
point
of
in time,
games seem to be doing Battle Royale.
And at that point in time, it's like, what do you classify or categorize a game like that? Because right now it's a pure hero shooter, but then now it's going to be a battle royale. Games are getting confusing, man. Holy crap!
Oh man, yeah.
Because these are two very clearly defined genres now.
Yeah.
That this one game is like both, or will be, essentially. And also, interestingly enough, Paladins is working on, they're kind of following in Overwatch's footsteps, working on a team deathmatch mode.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, that's something coming in the future. But yeah, Hi-Rez right now has gotten a little flack, like I said, because of their card system and some changes they've made. But at least, because I actually have the PTS on my computer. Because like I said, my computer sucks, but somehow, at like super low settings, I can still run Paladins well.
Good.
So it's like fairly well optimized, but yeah, so they're working on, because they tried to introduce a new way to do like their card system in the Siege in their Siege game mode, which is pretty much most of what they are is their siege game mode, which is like escorting the point in like Overwatch, whatever. Slight differences. There's a few big differences, but
I'm about to say crazy differences.
so they have what they call Unbound Siege, and it's like a lot of negative whiplash because there's a customization system to the cards and whatever cards you have, blah blah. But now they put it down to where it's basically essentially the longer you play Paladins, like it could become unfun to play this Unbound system because the longer you play, the more cards you're able to get, and these cards actually now level up depending upon duplicates you get.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, people that have played longer will have more powerful cards in this Unbound like game mode. And a lot of people were like kind of negative about that, which is fair because it literally makes sense because that's how it is. Like new people, but what they thought is like this Unbound game mode was going to be like the only way to play like casual Siege. This is replacing their casual Siege, and then because in ranked, like every car, as long as you own it, it gets like normalized to like level 3.
But at least there's no like microtransactions.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's like
there
Overwatch. There's microtransactions.
But I mean, like the cards, like you can't buy cards, right? Or can you?
I mean, until the Unbound system, you actually could.
Okay. I think that.
Now, yeah, but because, like I said before, the cards didn't actually have levels. Like, the entire system worked very differently. But as soon as they went to the Unbound system and made the cards matter in that way, like these Radiant chests that you could get the cards out of used to have, like right now on console, they have diamond values on them. So you can spend real money on these chests. But like I said, ever since they introduced the Unbound system, they actually took the diamonds off of these chests. Like entirely. So you cannot actually pay money for these chests anymore. So yeah, like that aspect they kind of circumnavigated the pay to win aspect to this for the loadouts. So I mean, that was smart by them. But at least in the PTS right now, though, there is a classic siege mode now. So I mean, that should like settle a lot of those issues. And like I said, there's team deathmatch, which that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's actually going to be kind of fun.
And then coming, freaking Battle Royale mode. Like I said, that still blows my mind on why a well-defined... And here's the thing, Hi-Res has a crap ton of games out right now. Like, legitimately. Okay, maybe not like a crap ton, but I mean, considering this is
games have they worked on?
Well, considering this is like a small Georgia-based, they're like right next door to me, practically. But it's a small Georgia-based studio that did like the first game they did was like a Tribes game, and then they worked on they did Smite, which became hugely popular and pretty much shot them into like the fast lane as now. What is like the next thing they were working on? I don't remember if Paladins was the very next thing they were working on or not. But Paladins is definitely close. They now have Smite Tactics, which is basically think Hearthstone with chess-like movement, and that's Smite Tactics, basically, in a nutshell. Because it's like Hearthstone. You lay down like cards, and they do things, and they have summoning costs and crap, and blah this, blah that, and you have spells and blah blah blah. But you also have to like move them around, like a board. So I mean, there's that.
They also have Paladin Strike. They have mobile Paladins.
Yeah, which is more. It's hilarious because Paladins is basically a mobile MOBA,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm still signed up, and I never could get into the beta for that, and should be releasing at some point in time. But yeah, before Smite, they did like, I don't even know what Global Agenda is, but they did Tribes Ascend, which is on Windows, and then like moved on to Smite and like just like launched. So I mean, yeah, they're doing Paladin Strike, which is a mobile game. Something about Smite Rivals. That's on hold. Okay, fair enough. So there's Hands of the Gods Smite Tactics, which they're working on that. They do now apparently have a mobile division for Paladin Strike. And then now they're working on, in addition to, which hilariously, like Paladins is like in a 2-year beta now, I think. It's I have a feeling it's like going to be like a DayZ status with their early access, never into like anything else.
I was about to say, it's the Van Wilder of video games.
But
Yeah, a lot
literally,
of games are doing that now, having like early access and game previews before they release the full game.
oh well, like the hilarious part about DayZ is that was a game that was like 5 years in early access.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, the standalone became popular, became a streamable thing, became a YouTube sensation for like a couple years, never made it out of early access. In fact, I think at worst, it might have been canceled before it even released.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, Jay, because the game I'm really that I actually did get the early, I guess it was like pre-release beta or whatever they call it. But have you guys seen the Monster Hunter World?
Oh,
I
Monster
did.
World?
I did hear about it. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous game.
Oh yeah, and monsters can fight each other. So if we can't beat a monster, let's say all three of us were in a party together.
Mm-hmm.
If all three of us couldn't beat it, we could easily, all three of us could. I could run out, grab a new monster, run into the area, and the monster could fight, and then we just take the winners.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you can have certain people. You can have big swords, little swords, spears, guns. You know, you can like specialize as much as you want. It's super good. But it's funny you brought up the whole
The game preview.
the game's preview and the cosmetics, because the whole Eververse thing.
Oh. Yeah.
Des had a good point when we were playing last night that like it would cost, what was the...
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like good points, because I have been an advocate of the fact that it's like, you know what, it's there, but I'm not like, you know, magnetized to it, so it can't be like that bad of a thing.
Yeah, I think people are just upset. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Well, I mean, there's no problem. I mean, but at the same time, there was like a lot of things that was basically a very naive perspective for me to have. It was effectively me like putting my fingers in my ears and going, yeah, I can't hear you. Because there's a lot of like really good points that were brought up about Eververse. And there's a lot of things I didn't consider before. Because like apparently, like, I think for the Season 2 items, like to get all the new items in Dawning Season 2, or effectively something like that, or basically to get all the items like free in Eververse, with good engrams, you would have to grind something, not including like eat, sleep, work, be human, or anything, but you would need like 6 months of grind time to get everything without paying a dime for anything. And then, depending upon your luck, like the cost of things fluctuates like so much. Like, again, like with really good engrams, like low end, you can spend like $100 and get everything in the Dawning. But if you have nothing but bad engrams, then that's like upwards of around 1,000, and it's like because of the RNG, like it makes the dawning a very it's fluctuating essentially, like very. That's too big of like a fluctuation in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like for this system, and as everyone says, it's like, because I even said it myself. No, you don't have to pay for anything to get Eververse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially, yes, you can theoretically get everything without paying. But realistically, it's very hard to do. And like I said, it's the inner workings of the system is quite yucky, basically. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that just don't set well with me anymore.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, the whole argument with Eververse, I can see a lot of people are saying, like, well, a lot of the things that you would get from prestigious activities, you now can only get through Eververse.
Yeah, and I'm like part of the mind that's like, I didn't do raids for like sparrows. I didn't care really about ships because there's a lot of ships I didn't have. And I didn't do those things for those things, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, they've all been, like, it's all cosmetics, and they've all been, like, shunted into Eververse. And people think that the Eververse grind is, like, necessary because they used to exist in the loot pool, you know? And, I don't know, it's a weird thing. The only thing I don't like really being in Eververse, and I haven't, like, this is, like, even when I first saw it, like, when Season 2 came out, and Season 2 introduced the exotic ghost shells. And I found out those exotic shells came with static rolls that were really, really powerful. Yeah. Pretty much. And it's like, that I'm not too okay with. Because that's like actually a thing that could help you. Why not let us earn those? And that's the one thing I didn't enjoy, especially like just from the outset of Season 2 for Eververse, was these things that, you know, I mean, what was it? I think it's the star map shell. It like detects loot chests and resources on any planet up to 50, 60 meters, maybe. It's not as much as the Segura shell, but it's a little more than normal. But yeah, it's like really good. Like, who wouldn't want to have that ghost shell? I mean, at the same time, yeah, it makes like every other Eververse ghost shell you pretty much ever get like useless. Like any legendary shell is like instantly just no. But at the same time, it's like, why put that behind the paywall? Yep. It's like, that's one thing I don't get. Like, are those specifically? I never got it at the beginning. Was the exotic ghost shells, because they give them, I mean, it's actually like a really good rarity. Like I said, those ghost shells, they may look weird, but they're really good. And I don't like that.
But Jay,
give us these ghost shells.
How do you feel about the Eververse, Jay?
Oh man, I feel like because Destiny 2 was designed for you to chase cosmetic gear, I do feel like Bungie put a lot of emphasis on Eververse, which we kind of found out from Jason Schreier that Activision wasn't really happy with Bungie's revenue sales through microtransactions, so they kind of have to ramp it up a bit. It's not like they're evil or anything. It's not like they want, like, hey, you must pay for this. It's just that shareholders and things like that, they like to see that number increase. So, again, I also feel like it's going to get worse than what it is now. So I'm really curious to see how they plan to approach this in 2018.
Well, very interesting that that's what Jason Schreier said, because it's actually, I do still, like, religiously listen to, or getting back into, like, putting the Destiny Reset podcast back in my podcast, like, rotation. And they just recently had so it's where I got, like, a lot of, like, because they had a nice long, like, civil discussion about Eververse. And it's funny because That's one thing that they kind of it lines up with what kind of Jason Schreier, and was by their speculation, was the fact that it's a revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
So Activision, being their publisher, has their hands in it because Activision, like, this is one thing that they put out, so, or a point that they made to put out is the fact that their publisher, Activision, is a publicly, Blizzard Activision is a publicly traded company.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And that puts a different spin on everything from Activision's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because Activision is part of a publicly traded company, their ethics, they have an ethical duty, first and foremost, to make their shareholders money.
Correct.
And that's not even, again, that's ethics. That's not morality. Because, people that get into business and such, there's a difference between ethics and morality. Morality is if it's right or not. That has nothing to do with ethics. Because again, or I could be getting this completely backwards, by the way, they have their first and foremost right as a company is to make the people that are investing in them more money.
Yep.
That's Activision's goal number one. Because they are a publicly traded company. Bungie is not a publicly traded company.
Nope.
Which is probably why they're more for the player than they are now. Because, again, if they ever open up to be a publicly traded company, they can get a lot of more money. They could probably grow exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
But again, their goal number one would have to be, suddenly, we have to make the shareholders money and happy because shareholders become controlling parties of your company at that point in time.
Yep.
So, you have to make them money. You have to keep them happy. That's Activision. If the past decade of Call of Duty hasn't taught you anything, they're just there to make you to make them money. And, of course, microtransactions are, my God. And this current setup of Eververse has to be so profitable.
Oh,
just because of
the
RNG system. They have to be so ridiculously profitable.
And J-Ram brought a good point up last night on our podcast. He said that Bungie is controlling the RNG in these microtransactions, in these bright engrams. So they're making things like exotic emotes, exotic ghosts, exotic anything exotic in that thing, rare. So you can keep spending money so you can get those things. You can get an exotic ghost, stuff like that. So I think Eververse maybe would be accepted more if you pay for something, then you're guaranteed something. Because it's RNG, the Bungie management, they are controlling the equation for the stuff that do you guys see that argument?
By saying controlling the RNG of a box, it sounds really bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's true.
Well,
no, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm 100%. I know it's to be true.
Well, that and the statement controlling RNG is kind of
it's
oxymoronical.
Think about the XP thing. They controlled the XP thing. The whole XP, that whole controversy and things like that.
But again, to say Bungie, though, has final say of Eververse is entirely not true.
Well, Bungie,
I believe, because
came up with the idea for, hey, look, making content is too hard for us, so we'll make Eververse so we can still make Activision money or something like that. Don't quote me on those exact lines.
Yeah,
but Bungie came up with that idea for Eververse.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you said. It's for Activision, and Activision needs to make money, and I don't foresee considering how much, Bungie's communication has been at this point in time, considering, like, Eververse, they came out with a list of things, and hilariously, like, Eververse is going to be the hardest thing for them to fix, even though it's probably the easiest fix.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, it could be a simple RNG tweak. Good Lord, should know that Bungie at this point in time should have experience in tweaking RNG systems. Let's not forget the D1 vanilla. Oh,
Oh Lord.
yeah, that's... So, yeah, they've had to tweak, like, a lot of RNG systems, and so, I mean, yes, it should be fairly simple relatively than their current list of, like, fire team sizes and crap like this. Like, yeah, Eververse is probably the easiest fix. Doesn't mean it's an easy fix, because, A, they have to strike a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in order to keep content coming out, they have to have some source of alternate revenue, basically to pay for... I mean, this is how the live team was basically described, is they have to rent, essentially, from themselves to keep money in Activision's pockets, to keep Activision happy. But now it's a revenue stream. So, I mean, Activision, as publisher, getting a cut of everything Destiny does, it's like... Meh. So, this is... Even though it's the easiest fix, it's like, at the same time, they have to strike a deal, essentially, with Activision in order to change something. Which... I really hope it doesn't get worse. I can foresee it getting worse, but it's not going to get much. It's not going to get much better. I mean,
yeah, it's not. It's going to get worse because look, shareholders like to see that number increase every quarter.
Oh yeah.
If that number increases every quarter, then they're happy.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like Activision's primary duty is to make their shareholders money.
Yeah.
Bungie,
but it's not like they're evil or anything. It's not like they're like, oh,
no, like
let's get as much money as possible. No,
yeah,
it's
this isn't morality.
It's business.
Yeah, like this. Despite what you think of like Activision's, moral code or anything, it doesn't mean. Yeah, it's like this has nothing to do with good or evil. It's just.
Yeah.
It's like when you run a restaurant, your primary goal is to cook the food properly and put it out to satisfy your customer.
Yeah.
Because if that customer is satisfied in what you cook, they're going to come back. And it's going to make you more money. So, I mean, it's not about, because you could be the biggest douchebag in the world, like, cooking this food, but that doesn't matter. Like, yeah, Activision could be full of, like, highbrow, white-collar douchebags.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any of them, so I don't know. I can
only had
estimate.
To say that because, like, some people are going to be like, oh, no, they're just evil. They just want your money and all that. I'm just like, oh, they're a business.
I mean, yeah, in the past 10 years, Activision has made some... Okay, legitimately, since their PC era, Activision, has made, like, Call of Duty. Like, a lot of that. You can make a lot of changes to that.
Yeah.
Like, sports games, I mean, of course, that's more EA anyway, and apparently, according to the internet, EA is Satan, as is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's, like I said, it's not, like, the CEO of Activision, or, the CEO of Blizzard Activision, or the entire board of Blizzard Activision, could be the most evil, maniacal douchebags I've ever met. I don't know them, so I don't know. But at the same time, it has nothing to do with it, because they need to make money. And Destiny isn't their property, but they're invested in Bungie. So Bungie has to make the money. As the publisher of Destiny, it has to be a profitable game.
Yeah.
Or else...
And Activision allows them a lot of creative freedom. Like,
they do.
Yeah.
But of course, at the same time, like, Bungie had to make sure... I just have this feeling that Bungie made sure of that also.
Oh, yeah, when they were searching for publishers.
Yeah, because, I mean, come on. They weren't going to... I mean, creative freedom is one thing, but, I mean, again, that's an entire separation, because the Eververse thing, that's not creative. That's monetary. That's a different, like, category. But either way, it's because, I mean, if they got into a bad publisher, it'd be Halo all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I don't know, like, if you know the actual start of Halo,
Mm-hmm.
but Bungie had pretty much had a prototype of Halo before they ever met with Microsoft.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Halo was theirs. That was their idea. It was their gameplay. It was their mechanics. Microsoft brought them in. They became Microsoft property, essentially, aka a first-party studio, to flesh out this game. Of course, in that deal, though, Microsoft
There was not much creative freedom.
Well, I mean, Microsoft owned the Halo IP. Like,
Yeah.
that was part of, like, their partnership with Microsoft is the fact that they would be under Microsoft Studios as a first-party developer, but Halo would be Microsoft property. And that's, at least that's, doesn't seem to be the case here because, I mean, let's be legitimate. If they didn't have creative freedom, D2 would not have 4v4 or slower time to kill.
Yeah.
Let's face that, because if Activision had as much control as Microsoft had over Halo, then essentially we'd have Space COD with Destiny.
Pretty much. Well,
Yeah.
in the multiplayer side of things.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean... So, yeah,
Yeah.
Destiny 2 would not have slower time to kill if Activision actually had creative control. If anything, Destiny 2 might have had faster times to kill. I mean, it's because that fast Twitch-based combat is what's popular in COD, and it's what's popular in that scene, and it's what's made Activision a lot of money the past decade. So, yeah, if they had that much control, yeah, Destiny would not... Destiny probably wouldn't be nearly as popular, to be honest.
And also,
Because-
if you want to talk about weapons being overpowered, look no further than COD.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, because you're talking, like, on average, like, a .3 time to kill in COD. I mean, let's look at the fact that D1's fastest time to kill, like, in Last Word's heyday, the last word was a .3. When they took away his precision damage, it still became a .5. But that was, like, some of the best time to kill you were having in Destiny, like, for a primary. But on average, it was, like, .7, .8. Like, average time to kill in Call of Duty, it's like .3. It's like half the time. Which is why I didn't like it. Like, you spawn up. Like, you want to talk about confused. It's like, yeah, Destiny 1 was confusing. But my only time playing a multiplayer in COD was Black Ops 3 beta. And it's like, oh, spawn up, I'm dead. All right, I'm going to take this quarter, I'm going to get shots. Oh, I'm dead. But I shot first. All right, whatever. Spawn up, dead. Well, all right, fine. Spawn up, dead. Great. Spawn up, turn a corner. I'm going to wall ride. Die. Son of a... Fine. And that was my COD experience, and I went back to playing Destiny after that beta ended.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Eververse is just... It's not mandatory. So I don't have any negative feelings about it. You could go the whole day, you know, without... You can play Destiny 2 the entire lifespan without going into the Eververse, unless you... Well, other than, you know, eliminated engrams and such, but it's still one of those things that if you don't see something you like, you don't need to spend money on it. Right?
That's very true.
But a lot of people are like, well, then if it's available, just give it to me in game. Well, that kind of doesn't make sense. Like from a business standpoint, like you said,
Yeah, and again,
you got to make Activision
because-
money.
Yeah, and here's the thing, that also, like, something that just popped in my head. It's like, as scummy as you may feel about, like, Eververse and how it works and how uncomfortable it makes you feel, I mean, let's imagine Bungie. Like, how they actually feel about Eververse. Because this is a borderline scumbag, like, algorithm in Eververse right now. And this is something that they like I said, they're like Bungie is responsible for putting it in the game.
Oh, of course.
Regardless of the reasons or the whys, Bungie put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether it's Activision saying we need more money, I mean, which I just can't help but believe that's the case. There's more Activision's leverage, but at the same time, yeah, Bungie's responsible for putting it in, but, I mean, come on. It had to have been like, what was it? Was Albert Einstein's research that led to the atomic bomb? And he just really detested it?
Something like that. I don't know.
I can't remember exactly who those words, but it's like somebody... Oppenheimer, yeah. I've become death, destroyer of worlds.
Yeah, from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, so I mean, he felt awful because of this turn. I can only imagine how Bungie actually feels about Eververse. I would love to be a fly on the wall in those meetings, just to see, just to hear. It's like, what's Bungie's perspective on this? Because if they feel just as scummy about it as we do, then they actually probably feel a lot worse.
I have a question, just to fire back on what you said. When you say Bungie, do you mean the developers or management?
Either or, to be honest. Because
I can tell you that management, of course, we all know that management is usually the ones that make the final calls on things, and devs, they just have to do what they're told. So I would blame management on this for putting it into the game because they had to make the call on it.
Yeah, but like I said, for Eververse in general, like I said, it has to be more. I don't know. I still believe it has to be more leverage from Activision because from what I've heard about people meeting the Bungie management, they're not. I can't perceive them to be this big of douchebags.
I'll just leave it with what you said.
I mean, like I said, I've never met them.
Yeah,
so,
of course not. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know myself. I've only heard like people meeting like these. Okay, it may not be high end management, but at least like, I guess like Luke Smith and Bear and them are like more mid management. I would say. Even if they're even considered management, because they are part of the dev team, but they are lead roles in the dev team.
I consider them as management.
Okay,
Luke Smith is franchise director, Christopher Banks game director.
Yeah, so I mean, they're at the very least like mid-man. Of course, they're no like, chairman of the boards and CEOs and this, that, and the other, which that's definitely upper echelon management. And those are actually people I haven't even heard about much. But at least like the mid-management people, like every time like Noseworthy, people like that. The mid-management people I've heard about, like they go to the conventions and stuff, like people just have like some of the best things in the world to say about these people.
Oh yeah, they're very
like how they act.
People.
Yeah, and like
but behind closed doors is a different story.
I mean that's true. I mean, but that's also business like 101. Yeah. I mean it's no matter where the blame gets shifted, no matter who, what, how. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it is a product that needs to make somebody money, and regardless of how anyone feels about a situation, I mean, in order to make money, sometimes you have to make certain deals with the devil. I mean,
yeah,
like it or not, like I said, Bungie can feel awful. Like upper management of Bungie can feel awful about Eververse and like what it is, and this, that, and the other. Or they could be upper management could be completely fine with it and have put it in and like force the devs to do it or whatever. But also at the same time, I mean, and yes, I know like Bungie has had like quote unquote a lot of employees. I mean, not really a lot, but they have had employees leave for controversy and this, that, and the other. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. You can't push people too far. Eventually, they're just going to leave. I mean, much like oh my God, Marty
O'Donnell.
O'Donnell. Thank you. I was wanting to say McDonald's. Oh my God, but yeah. I mean, that's a story and a half.
Yeah,
but again.
Bungie's management are not the best people to work with. Like, I can tell you, like, right now, when Destiny 2 shipped, there was, like, an internal civil war there. Like, it was management versus the dev team. Like, a lot of people had different opinions on which direction this game should go. And, of course, management had the final say in everything. Because they're managers. Yeah, they're management. They're the managers. And just reading a whole bunch of articles and hearing from people's personal experiences, Bungie's management, again, is just not the best people to work with. Like, they have one of the best developers in the world. But again, it all comes down to crappy management.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I highly recommend that you guys read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, and hearing from Destiny 1's development and people working with Jason Jones and things like that.
Yeah, I have had that on like my to-do list literally because I mean, I've always been. I'm still fascinated in like Destiny's dev cycles, basically, because I mean, you can tell. I mean, just by semi-following, you could tell something went wrong in D1's dev cycle.
Yeah.
Because, 6 months before beta launched, you hire a person to write Grimoire that becomes like the lore and like the meat of the story of D1. He was hired 6 months before beta.
Mm-hmm.
That is not when you hire someone to write a story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, something went wrong for that to happen, and for Grimoire to be our like main story points. Something went massively wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that's always been like one of my opinions because, again, I don't know what happened I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have inside sources. I'm not that close to Bungie. It'd be cool if I was. But, like I said, just looking at it, it's like, that's not business, basically. Your game is practically almost finished.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, relatively. I mean, if you're 6 months from beta, it's the downhill slope, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then you're hiring a guy to, like, basically rewrite your story and, like, put all this stuff into Grimoire cards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not good. And then, of course, there was, like you said, with the reboot for D2, which, I mean, yeah, there was the Kotaku article that basically said Rise of Iron was originally, like, the D2 stuff.
Yeah.
And it just got, like, sectioned as a new expansion instead of a full release. Which, yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised a lot more people don't know about that, because that was kind of hot news back then.
Like, I'm not saying because this is my podcast, but I highly recommend listening to last week's episode of the DTR podcast. It's great information in there and great insight.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's for sure.
What went wrong. Yeah, it's in doing, like, some of my own, like, reporting and investigations, I can say, like, a lot of things is going wrong at Bungie right now and in the past. Bungie has always been known for having terrible development time. Like, I'm not saying that, like, between their tools and management and just things like that. Like, it's just a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, then the channel at Bungie, I mean, you think about it, they were like full indie before Halo. I mean, full indie, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And they got partnered, or bought, basically, by Microsoft. Then they broke away from that, and they didn't... because that's the thing about first-party developers. First-party developers don't really grow. Because they don't need to. Really. I mean, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, as a first-party developers don't need to grow, and they usually don't. Like, if you're a first-party developer, you stay small for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because I think even Sucker Punch, which is it Sucker Punch? That's first party for Sony or for PlayStation. Infamous? Yeah, Infamous. It is Sucker Punch. I want to say. Oh god, or is that Insomnia?
I have no idea.
I can't remember anymore. It's all getting jumbled right now. But by the way, it's like they're still relatively small. I mean, I wouldn't call them AAA size for sure, because I mean, you got to look at, again, Activision. They have 3 different studios working on COD. But then when you look at something like a true AAA, which may not graphically look like it, but World of Warcraft, they have Blizzard has several dev teams working on that to keep it going.
Well, look at Destiny now. The whole franchise. There are 3 studios working on Destiny 2 and future expansions. 3 studios worked on Destiny 2.
Yeah, I've heard that, but at the same time, if that was entirely true...
It is.
I mean,
High Moon is working on it. It was all in an end credit scene. We know Vicarious Visions worked on the PC version.
Okay, so
who knows
why wasn't...
what High Studios is doing right now?
I know, right? Because supposedly, from... people say that, but I can't feel if Bungie had more...
has 1,000 people working on Destiny 2. And then High Moon Studios has about 100 or 200. Vicarious Visions, of course, 100 and 200. And these other studios are looking for world designers, raid designers, PvP designers, and things like that. And I just want to know, what are they working on?
Well, they're still looking right now. Nothing.
Jason Schreier did report that that High Moon Studios may be working on Expansion 2. The second expansion, supposedly Gods of Mars. But that's a whole other topic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, because basically we've heard the same thing about Curse of Osiris. That High Moon was working on that, and if High Moon was working on that, then this is the worst work the High Moon Studios has ever done. But I don't I guess I'm taking more of a I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Because Curse of Osiris was kind of a letdown in a lot of areas for me, or a few areas. The storytelling just took a massive backpedal in Curse of Osiris, and like I said, considering we had heard other studios working on Curse of Osiris, it's then that makes it even worse.
Do you have a source on that? Other studios working on Curse of Osiris? I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just wanted to see.
Oh no, it was kind of hearsay-ish, but I didn't buy into it much to start with, but I'm skeptical of, like I said, I don't know. But if it turns out if Expansion 2 is twice the size of Curse of Osiris, and then sure, I'll believe I'll definitely believe there was help there. But until then, it's I don't know. I've heard it, but
have you guys ever listened to Activision earnings calls?
Oh, that just sounds exciting.
They've always talked about that Destiny 2. We have all these studios. We have 3 studios working on Destiny 2. They have a huge content plan for Destiny 2. But it seems like we're still going down the same path as Destiny 1's content plan, except with a few DLCs.
I know, right? It is.
Not a few DLCs, but a few live events such as faction rallies and Iron Banner thrown in between. And the Dawning. It's really the same content path.
Yeah, it does. I'm not opposed. I would love, honestly, if everything did turn out, if they did have a bunch of studios working on Destiny, hand in hand with Bungie, that would be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Because this is legitimately something that they need.
Mm-hmm.
If Bungie or Activision or whoever really wants a chance at making Destiny even capable of sating people's hungers like they want to, they need more studios. Because again, any you look at pretty much any MMO, World of Warcraft has a lot of content, and they come out with a lot of content. But again, they have 3 or 4 development teams at least working on this game, and that's their job for the rest of forever, is working on this game just to keep it live, just to keep content flowing, just to keep things to be consumed by their player base. And if Destiny wants to mimic this, a lot of people classify it as MMO light. It's not true. Stop it, people. But they do want to reach that MMO-like status, they need more studios. There needs to be more help because, again, one studio, even a AAA studio, doesn't really have much of a chance to put out content to the popularity that Destiny can have and keep up like their high-end player base happy.
Yeah.
It's like not possible. Not with Bungie's stat. Like they might have 1,000 people, but no, it's not enough. They need a lot more.
Yep.
A lot. Like they need the manpower. So I mean, yeah, because without that extra manpower, I mean, we're looking at the same like I said, the same content path. Essentially, if it's just Bungie working on this game, then yeah, like D2, these 2 expansions, and then maybe they literally revert to D1 path. Like we get next year, we'll get the quote unquote Taken King update, and then like another update a year later. I mean,
oh my god, that would be so bad.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like, I mean, but again, that was the D1 path because that's what they had, and that was one studio working on a game trying to put out enough crap for millions of people to consume. So I would love more.
And according to the contract, we're still, like, Bungie is still supposed to produce a Destiny 3.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because, it was supposed to be what,
Yeah, their content path is supposed to be a full game, 2 DLCs, Taken King version,
the Comet.
Sequel. Yeah, Comet, game sequel. And
well, actually, it was originally supposed to be game, game 2 DLCs, Comet, 2 more DLCs, then sequel. Is the original
path
line.
But then, that was all changed.
I wasn't sure if that like actually changed, but yeah, I do know.
Yeah,
I was familiar with that. Okay.
Bungie changed their contract with Activision right after Taken King.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then.
Yeah, that does make sense now with the contract change.
Yeah,
the path changes, but I have a question for you guys because Jay,
sure.
I really want to know this. Actually, I have 2 questions. One is to you directly because you're the manager at Destiny Tracker. Does Mayhem count against your KD?
We can't track Mayhem right now because of the Bungie API. Okay.
I was wondering that. And, my question now to both of you, I guess this could be our final topic because, it's getting a little long and we kind of...
Sorry.
Listen, we do long podcasts, but I
was about to say, he says it's getting a little long, but this coming from the fact that the past 2 weeks we did like 3.5 hours.
Yes, I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, but we couldn't put it up on the Patreon for our patrons. That's what I'm trying to eliminate. What do you think would silence the negative vocal part of our community? What's needed in Destiny 2 that would silence them?
Well,
if anything.
I think a simple answer, 2, would be more communication from Bungie as to what they're working on. Like, yes, they can't promise stuff, but just tell us. Like, just tell us that, hey, we're working on the DLC, we're working on this, we're working on that. Like, their communication these past few weeks have been great about, hey, we know these issues, but I think the community is tired of hearing, we're listening, because now that's turning into a meme. And another thing is, show us your content plan for the future. Because right now, after Expansion 2, we're lost. So we're just really speculating that there's going to be an expansion in September, which there most likely will be. But tell us that there will be an expansion. Like, don't have us wait or be in the dark. And and one thing I wish they would have continued on was, remember month 1 in September, they had that big thing about it was in the TWAB, and it showed us the flashpoints, the nightfalls, and things like that. Bring that back, because that was perfect. That was a perfect roadmap. Yeah. That was excellent. Bring that back.
Yeah, so we could plan what... Yeah, I can agree.
To be honest,
just more communication.
Yeah, to be honest, like I can see... Because I can see, like, the downfall of, like, a roadmap Like even like speculation, or like even if they don't give set dates, like if things happen, I mean, it can turn sour very quickly. Still, I mean, yeah, like if they were to say it's like, okay, after DLC 2, here's expansion this, and then we have plans for this, blah blah and blah afterwards. But if something, so that could help a lot with a lot of like negativity and such, and like where they do plan on going with content and crap like that. But if something happens, then or something gets pushed back and something keeps getting pushed back or something gets eliminated or whatever. Because I mean, let's look at D1. When D1 launched, we were supposed to have 2 events, very much like we have in D2, which we have Faction Rally and Iron Banner. In D1, we were supposed to have Queen's Wrath and Iron Banner, but Queen's Wrath got cut.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
And then repurposed into House of Wolves. But, yeah, if something like that were to happen, I can just imagine the community backlash if something like that were to happen. Like, they introduce something, and then it's like, okay, it's not right, we're going to cut it.
Well, how about this? If they cut it, tell us why.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah,
like,
that's
communication,
an easy solution.
Yeah, communication can always go through, but at the same time, it's like, a lot of people also aren't paying attention. Like, We're Listening is becoming a meme, sure, but at the same time, it's like, they've pretty much always said that. And it's becoming an issue now that people don't like hearing, oh, we're listening. It's like, yeah, but even when communication was awful from Bungie, they've always said we're listening.
Yeah.
And then down the pipeline.
Bad now because the game is in such a bad state for some people. I'm not gonna say for everyone, but some people in the eyes of journalists and some content creators and just things like that, it's in a bad state. So saying we're listening is just not going to help anymore. Yeah. So again, and they know communication is an issue. Like after D2 launched and there were so many issues, Luke Smith went dark on social media. And he even said on his podcast that he did that on purpose. I personally think that was wrong for him. Because if you look at other game directors such as Jeff Kaplan, is that his name from Overwatch? Yeah. And even the Fortnite people, they're always communicating. Always. Or even the Sledgehammer Games, when their game was having issues, they were communicating all the time. Our time. Just every day. They're just talking to us, talking to their community. And Bungie went dark. They went quiet. Because, yeah, they're working on stuff, but don't just go dark and quiet on us, right?
Yeah. I think they need more community involvement, too. Because I remember back in D1 when they had the streams with the content creators and known people in the community. Like, that gives us the midway point of, hey, I follow that person. They're going to make a video. They're going to talk about what they experienced. I can watch them experience something new. I mean, even with the fashion show, I say that in air quotes, stream that they canceled. It was like that's one of my favorite streams of any DLC is show me the new stuff I can get.
All right, but also at the same time, it's like they canceled it for a reason.
Yeah.
And the state of Destiny 2 that came out was like, my opinion, the cancellation of the fashion show to replace it with that bit of communication,
it was justified.
Was like one of the best decisions they've made.
And they need to do that once a month. Those State of Destiny 2, at least once a month.
I mean, I definitely agree with like the whole monthly, like the content map that we got that first month when everything was supposed to drop. I mean, yeah, we may not have like new stuff every month to justify like that in depth of a map, but still putting it out to remind us like, hey, this is coming here. Hey, this is coming here. And, I mean, that would still be nice. Because, I mean, yeah, because the first month it was great because, okay, raid release, this guided games, they're talking, because they even talked about guided games there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, if they could actually...
fixed? I don't think that was fixed. Right?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't done Gator games.
I done it once and it was terrible.
But
Oh, Bungie.
yeah, I mean, definitely they could definitely use like more communication. Like for not really, I wouldn't even go as far as saying more communication, because right now they are communicating. It's just slightly different areas of communication. They could use a little more coverage in. Because I don't think just plain old more communication is like an accurate like statement. I guess, but I mean, it's definitely more. There are definitely more things that they can tell us, and right now they're trying to reassure. I can see what they're doing is like a lot of the people that are responsible for it are trying to reassure the fact that they're looking into issues that a lot of people think are issues. Personally, like I said, a lot of these some people that this game is like really bad for are people I just don't agree with people actually getting information from, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because game journalists, YouTube content creators, whatever. No offense to DTR or anything, but this is just an out there thought. I'm not putting blame. It's like, oh crap, I just realized DTR does a lot of YouTube stuff.
Cut the mic. Cut the mic.
But no, I mean, like a lot of people on YouTube, and there are game journalists out there that just latch on to sensationalizing things. Mm-hmm. And they'll say it's horrible just to cash in on the attention that it's going to get. I'm not saying all game journalists and all YouTube content creators are like that. I hope y'all aren't, but it's a joke. I'm sorry, it was bad. But no, I mean, because there's YouTube content creators that do keep things balance and like even and keep things actually constructive without all this, that, or the other. And of course there's game journalists that again have pretty much the same thing, but I feel like the vast majority of people that come across things aren't coming across like the quote unquote decent sources of this information. Because I mean, I don't know, because National Enquirer, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with that old joke, Jay, but used to be a magazine. Actually, it might still be a magazine, to be honest. Yeah. But it was basically like a fake newspaper. Mm-hmm. And I say fake because they posted these insane stories. They would get like these images or pictures of like celebrities, and it's like, oh my God, she looks pregnant. And then all of a sudden you see on the front page of National Enquirer, it's like, such and such is pregnant. And it's like, what? So, I mean, that's what I feel like a lot of like people, because like a lot of the National Enquirer wasn't entirely true, but they sensationalized what was happening. And it was a very popular newspaper, sadly. Even though, again, their information wasn't really accurate, but kind of blown up. And I feel like these are like the news sources that people are, for some reason, naturally attracted to. That's how I feel.
The National Enquirer was BuzzFeed before BuzzFeed.
Yeah, basically.
It was clickbait, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, which, I mean, for YouTube and stuff, I mean, yeah, the attention is nice and everything, but I mean, at the same time, if you're just adding fuel to this idiotic fire of all this vitriol and such, it's like,
yeah, there are a lot of D2 content creators that I've seen in the past week that are like just fueling to the fire. I'm not like before DTR puts out a video, I review all content that comes out from us. So I make sure that I always think about, okay, how will the community react to this? Is this like just clickbait news? Is this just news that like maybe it's not too like newsworthy? Like I see stuff like a lot of people are reporting on the Eververse thing. So instead of us putting on a video of how much we hate Eververse, or if some of us hate Eververse, or if we hate Eververse or love Eververse, I said, all right, let's do a community thoughts video. So it's like a little series that we do on our channel where we gather up tweets and all that from the community and see the community's reaction. So instead of us just like bashing Eververse, I said, let's see the community's reaction as a whole, good and bad, and let's put it together and then we put our own opinion in that. And I think that was like the most professional thing to do, in my opinion, right?
And that's journalistic integrity.
Actually, that's like really, really good, and like.
Yeah, so I said, all right, so I think that's the best thing for us to do, rather than just like some people just saying, we hate Eververse, we do not support Eververse, and things like that. I was like, no, let's do the good and the bad. Yeah, there's more bad than good from the community, but still, let's do it that way than us just bashing Eververse. Because again, we are a brand, so I don't want to make the whole brand of DTR just hating Eververse. Let's just do it in a way that not supporting both sides, but we want both sides to be viewed. To me, I think that was the best way for us to handle that particular topic.
100% was the best way.
Oh yeah, I mean that sounds amazing, and I was looking like I feel bad now. Okay, all right. There's a lot of people I tend not to follow for some strange reason. Like I've said before, like I still like try to get the Destiny Reset podcast like in like my rotation, and I follow them on Twitter. Then I realize it's like we're talking about wanting to get them on the show, and it's like, wait, I never followed Arrow Knight or Cyborg on Twitter. I am like really, really crazy. The thing that made me feel bad is the fact that Arrow Knight followed me on Twitter, and I'm like, oh God. So I'm actually like subscribing to y'all on YouTube right now. Because for some reason I forgot to do that.
It's fine.
And no, like I want to say this because I mean, just because basically, all right, we know you, we're friends with you.
Yeah, of course.
Or at the very least, acquaintances that are on good terms. Because some people take the term "friend" to be a really strong word, which
I know.
I don't understand that. But because I mean, a lot of people take the term "friend," like me and Buster take the term "brother." Basically, me and Buster are like brothers. But yeah, that's okay. That's weird. But yeah, just the fact. Yeah, but just the fact that you basically just like the fact that you're overlooking the integrity of Destiny Tracker is an amazing thing, because I used to use an unnamed other place for a lot of Destiny news sources. Of course, these people were those that's like they dedicated an entire tweet that's like, you know, please understand like this, that, or the other, but we do not support Eververse. And it's like,
I know, yeah, and I believe we're talking about the same thing, and they made a YouTube video on it.
Yeah,
and personally, I said I would never have DTR do that because we are a brand. So
exactly, like I said, with that integrity, I mean, it's people I don't really
as long
follow.
as I'm in charge.
Exactly, like we said, we're not going to like sling mud at people, but
no.
Like that entire path, like just left a bad taste in my mouth, because it's almost like they're more, like you said, they're more fueling the fire almost. Is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I mean, back in the day, there weren't many like really sources, but like I said, looking through y'all's YouTube, which I'm going to plug the holy crap out of this right now for y'all. Like, but there's of course the recordings of your podcast for in the YouTube feeds. There's if you care about Squidface, of course I'll do that. There's news updates apparently also with the you cover like the TWAPs and stuff and updates information. So I mean, this is and here's the Community Thoughts episode 3 Eververse. I mean, just saying that, it's like I've thankfully found what I wanted, a news source that actually has integrity as a brand that covers this stuff.
And I try to stress, like you can even ask our YouTube content creators, I make sure, I said, hey, like that Community Thoughts episode, it's opinionated to the content creator who made that, but we also put disclaimers in there and things like that. Like, look, this is not the whole view of DTR. Like, I make sure that anything that we put out is just very, like, it respects the brand, it respects Bungie and things like that. Like, that's something that I really, like, push on our content creators in articles and just things like that.
Yeah, that's good business. Sorry, Des. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. Like I said, I was basically saying. I mean, that's just good business. It's good, like, morality and stuff. That's at this point in time, like the way you're running this is essentially what we need, like, more of, is to keep things like you're not taking. You're keeping your you're staying unbiased, essentially. Like you're echoing like what the community's saying, but you're staying like it's like you're staying unbiased in how you say things, which you're not putting Bungie in like a bad light, but you don't want to put them in like too overly of a good light. But
it's like the only time I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But like the only time you see our opinions come out will be on our podcast, and I try to stress that. Like our podcast is a time where each individual person, we can have our opinions come out.
That's really
cool. Where I make sure, like I say, hey, this is our podcast. Just let your opinions come out. That's like us say a Bungie apologist, or we just are salty. Like no, like that's where our opinions will come out on B2 or Bungie as a whole, or on anything. It's on our podcast. Well, not anything, but like but on most things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been looking for. Yeah, like I said, that's what I've been looking for myself. I mean,
yeah,
and it's like I said, it's like the goal for this year, like of course, but I mean, spread love and try to not pay mind to this negativity and such. And like I said, we need more hubs like that just keep things. Like I said, just keep things unbiased, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're portraying a brand, just portray it. Don't be influenced by the sway of the community.
Exactly. Like, look, like we're journalists. Technically, we are journalists. We just want to report on the news. Like, I'm just here trying to report on the news for you guys. Like,
so for anyone out there who isn't following DTR on YouTube, definitely do that because, again, why not? I mean,
thank you.
It's a place we need right now, and I feel bad because it took me to do it, but like I said, I'm forgetful. But yeah, because I mean, like I said, that's. Those other guys, I'm going to start having like DTR in my newsfeed because why not?
For the longest time, I didn't have. Who was it? I think it was. I don't think I had Dan. I didn't think I followed Dan from my personal Twitter for the longest time. I've had Dan on the podcast a lot. Like, you know what I mean? I go to the streams all the time and say hey, but it's just one of those. You get forgetful sometimes. You don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Jay, I'd like to thank you for coming on.
Thank you, guys. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
We'll definitely be in touch with the weekend or the Friday in February that the RNG cast will. I don't want to say take over or run in, but it'll definitely be a very interesting having both of us on. We promise we'll be on our best behavior. I mean, I promise I'll be on my best.
Lies. I'm going to give y'all so much hell.
Yeah, that is true.
But
I'm definitely going to have a belt, and I'm definitely going to show it. Is there anything you want to give your plugs out? I mean, Des is giving you a shiny beacon of a recommendation.
We've been plugging them.
No, that's really it. Just check us out. Check out our podcast. Check out our site, Destiny Tracker. Our podcast, Destiny Tracker Podcast. YouTube, Destiny Tracker. Twitter, Destiny Track. That's really it.
Go ahead, Des. Tell everybody where they can find you and your lovely works.
You can find me talking on Twitter at DES_Raven. that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm there. You can find me in Discord too. If like, and I've definitely like, I've been super talkative, but I'm easing my way in. Like I said before, I'm trying to get reconnected to a lot of these communities and easing my way in there.
We did have a very interesting conversation about Hellboy, though.
Yes. One of the live moments of our own Discord, we did have a nice little Hellboy talk, and that's right. I forgot. I'm just super excited for that reboot now.
I am.
Like after like looking into it, like oh my god.
I also watched the animated film I didn't see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I have to track those down.
Yeah. You can find me Buster Knuckle on Twitter, Buster Knuckle 13. That's Buster Knuckle 13. You can find this podcast if you don't follow us on Twitter. I don't know what you're missing. At the RNGcast, you can email us at therngcast@gmail.com. We have a Patreon if you want to send us RNG boys a couple dollars. Feel free. We appreciate it. Not necessary, but we will always be here. That's patreon.com/therngcast.
Oh, and just as another like shining recommendation for those, if you don't believe DTR has any kind of pull, the fact that the DTR podcast was able to get the voice of Gaul months before the Destiny Community podcast.
Yeah.
You know, not like putting out for like favoritism or anything, but that was actually some amazing pull. The fact that he helped pull that off.
That episode has been planned for like 2 months. Like we started talking to him back in June.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of like shot down because apparently it was too early to get him on by some people. Game Studio came after us on that, so we had to push it back till September.
Also, and hey Jay, who kept a secret? Yeah, this guy. Because I
Buster has known since like June, July that we were gonna get him on.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny, like seeing like that thumbnail for him, and it's like, wow, Destiny Tracker did it first.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
I was gonna start advertising that episode like a few weeks ago, just saying to say, hey, we had. I'm just not gonna do it.
But yeah, once again, Jay, I appreciate you being on. Did I miss anything?
No, we got through everything.
Okay, cool.
I believe that's that.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
We're looking forward to having a pretty amazing...
2018 is going to be a good year.
Yeah, 2018 is going to be a very good and fun year.
Spread love and peace, people. Love and peace.
Love, peace, and RNG. How about that?
Yeah, seriously, like keep things civil, keep things clean. Like there's no need to dive. Really, like I said, just stay unbiased. Be you. Most importantly, don't be swayed by whatever's going on in the community. Just be you.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're beautiful and you're shining.
Yeah. Stay away from the Bungie forums. It's pretty toxic there right now.
God, please. I mean, Bungie forums. Yeah, but Bungie forums have been toxic since like before Destiny.
It's true. That being said, this is the RNG cast. We're out.
Later, man.
Jay, say something.
Bye.
See you all next week.